I think we can all agree that the Michael Bay Transformers movies weren't the best things in the world. Yeah. While they were good for bringing Transformers back to the masses and what have you, not the best stories, and certainly the redesign of the bots, that was the big deal, wasn't it? Optimus Prime with his long-nosed carbon flame job. Well, we've got used to it now. It wasn't that good when it was first announced, was it? The Bay movies have basically been responsible for some of the worst Transformers I have ever seen in my life. So, it's actually with quite a sense of shock and surprise that I present you with actually one of the better ones, and probably definitely the best Bayformer Transformer that there's ever been. This guy is fucking amazing. May I present you Dark of the Moon Shockwave in his whatever form this is mode. It's some kind of tank, I think, like a Cybertronian thing. He obviously never transforms in the film. He always has that big stupid worm thing that he rides about on. But I'm not entirely sure what this is. There's some lush detailing on it, man. There's all sorts of little treads and what have you on the bottom. All sorts of stuff like in these panels on the side here, and on his little sword dagger thing. It's a nice. Well, it's not really much of a vehicle. It looks nice, and it certainly holds together nice and solid. Unlike Optimus Prime, I think with Voyager Optimus Prime, he's a bit shitty like. Well, it's probably the way I transform him, but I never seem to get his front cab section to hold together properly. But yeah, I mean, this is lovely. You've probably noticed I've got his little hose plugged in on the side here, if you can see that. A lot of the pictures I've seen have it plugged in the middle here, but I can never actually get it in, and I don't think it looks very good. You can either have it over the top like that, which I think looks ridiculous, or some of the pictures I've seen have had it like underneath, which again just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me, because then it's sort of in the way of the barrel. But yeah, so there's a hole in the side here, so I usually find it's better just to plug it into there, and it looks a bit better, and it's yeah. You can take it off if you want, you don't have to have it on, which is what I'm going to do now for the transformation. It also, yeah, it's probably the only decent mech tech weapon that I've seen, which is this gun here. Don't know how closely you're going to see that, but when you pull it out, it looks alright. It's nothing great, but obviously with it being a Voyager one, you can lock it. Well, you're supposed to be able to lock it. I can. It's not going to work for me today, never mind. There we go. So you can lock it in place, unlike the deluxe ones, which literally just pop in, pop back out again. So it looks alright. It's probably one of the better ones. I was never really sold on the little mech tech gimmick, to be fair. So tank mode. So I'm going to take him to robot mode now. He's a little bit of a complicated transformation. It's quite satisfying, but it's also a little bit tricky at the same time. So what I like to do generally is break the arm off. That's one problem I've got with this one actually, it's really loose on that joint, and that arm often just sort of comes straight back off. So I like to move the arms up like that. Then that gives you access to the rib cage, which is cool, proper skeletal. You can move that out, pull the arms out from the legs. There's some little tabs. I'm not getting any of this on camera. There's little tabs there. You can pull those out. Same with this side. And then that gives you access to the legs, which you just pull down. Oh, this one's stiff. There we go. Pull it down and out like that. And then you're left with some kind of creature from The Thing or something. I don't know exactly what that is. He's got his head, which is down here, which is the front of the tank, and that comes up. I'll deal with that in a minute, but I'll just sort the legs out. So bring the legs out like this. So he's got some little heel pegs here. The tabs that were tabbing into the arms flip around to form heel spurs, and then you just, this is really stiff as well, click that down, form a foot. Same on that side. And then he's got some nice little knee pads here, which you just pop up. There we go, and that's his legs. He's got some nice legs. With regard to the actual front of it, bring his arms down, turn them around, and face them around. And these treads here, these ones, they're on a little, I don't know if you're going to see that, they're on this little joint here, which is like a bit of a hinge. You just hinge them back in around, and then there's a peg hole just here, and you peg the rib cage into that, and do the same on this side. Move his arms down, and that gives you a nice sturdy rib cage chest piece, which is starting to look pretty cool. Now this bit's a little bit tricky, the bit on the back. You just bend it round, and then you sort of turn it around that way and flick these bits down, and then we turn his head around, and these bits all come together and they all fold together and join on with this piece here, which becomes like a sort of a little backpack thing. So we'll have to do this just down here, because these don't never want to line up properly. There we go. So you can see they're all pegged in there, form a nice little backpack. And then we've got his head. So his head has a tab here, which pegs into this little slot here. So you slot that in, peg it in, and then the last thing we need to do is bring his hands down. So on his arms, his hands are sort of tucked in. You just pull them out. You can leave this one folded up if you want, but I think it looks a bit stupid. So it makes a bit more sense to have it folded down. Now, one thing you've probably just noticed straight away there is, check out the light piping on that guy. Fucking hell, if that's not the best light piping on any Transformers toy ever, I don't know what I would do, but look at that. It's like bright red, and it only has to be the smallest amount of light for it to light up like that as well. It's amazing piece of design work, that. Now, his MechTech gun can be removed if you would like, so you can take that off, just pop straight off, and you're just left with a weaselly looking little arm. And you can also take his dagger thing off. I've fucking no idea what this is. You can hold it if you want, but the point of that, not really sure. It makes a bit more sense having it on his arm, but it's so far up his arm it doesn't really give him a lot of clearance from his hand. So I don't really know what he would do with that, especially in tank mode. It's pretty pointless. If you wanted to, you could put his gun on the opposite arm and fold that round, but I'm just going to put it back on here for now. And then get the hose. The hose sits in this little grey bit here, if you can see that. So you pop that there, and then the idea is that, oh, I didn't do it when I transformed it, never mind. 1 second. There's a little piece down the bottom which you need to move around on his backpack. Go ahead and get that back in. There we go. There's a small, I don't know if you can see that, there's a small piece here which plugs into the hose, if you can get it in, because I'm shit at doing this. There we go. So you're then left with a nice big Shockwave. Although what that does is it stops you from moving his arm up, because he's sort of limited, and it doesn't give him much in the way of clearance. Now, obviously, he just looks amazing. Just take a second to look that in. The light piping just follows you around the room. It's fucking unbelievable. He looks lush. It's one of the best robot modes I've seen in quite a long time, actually. A little bit complicated transformation, like I said, but it's good fun. The only thing I'm not keen on, like I said before, is these joints on the arms. They're just sort of sliding on joints. This one here, and it's really loose. It always comes off when I'm transforming it. I don't know why it does that. I'm probably doing it wrong, but who knows. Right, so in terms of articulation, he's pretty well articulated for a Voyager. He's got a nice bit of knee articulation there, which is probably mostly due to the transformation, but he can do it. His hips are on nice clicky, creaky, nice clicky and creaky crank joint, ratchet joint. His arms, they do go up and down as far as the shoulders go, which I don't really get, but you can obviously move them forwards and backwards. And he's got a nice sort of elbow, which is just another hinge joint. I don't think there's any ball joints on this guy at all, which is quite impressive when you consider how much stuff's ball jointed nowadays. Even his head is just on a swivel joint. There's a bit of a size comparison. The only thing I've got to hand here would be, if I can get him out, Deluxe Bumblebee. As you can see, he's quite a bit bigger. Well, not quite a bit, sort of head above him. But yeah, he's an absolutely gorgeous figure. Love him to bits. Just look at the detail on that rib cage and on all the parts of his legs. Yeah, it's just wicked. And the light piping. Whoa! Right. Anyway, that's me done for another review, and I will catch you again soon. Thank you very much for watching. Ta-da!